All right, so good afternoon, everybody. We're ready to get started. Thank you for your patience. I apologize for the confusion. I kept saying 6:05, but it's now 6:35. We're ready to get started. So my name is Kevin Polito. I'm the Neighborhood Affairs Division Director at the City of Miami Beach. Today we have a presentation, the second required community meeting for 6701 Collins Avenue, excuse me. Today we're going to have a presentation from the applicant. And then at the end, we are going to take public any questions or comments that you may have. We're going to ask you to keep that within 2 minutes. And I will have a timer, so I'll be back to go ahead and moderate that. I'm going to ask Mr. Michael Baluch to just give us a quick update as to the reason why we're hosting today's meeting. Before Michael mentions that, I do want to thank our elected officials joining us. I see we have Mayor Stephen Minor as well as his Deputy Chief of Staff, Blake Govan. We also have Brandon Lloyd, the Commissioner Aide to Commissioner David Suarez, as well as Jacqueline Boudin, Commissioner Aide to Commissioner Kristen Rosen Gonzalez. I saw we have our Assistant City Manager, Mr. David Martinez, on the call. And let me just quickly look through to make sure I don't miss anybody. I believe, and I'm sure we're going to have a few more join us in just a second. So I'm going to turn on Michael, if you could just walk us through. Oh, I see we have Commissioner Tanya Bott's aide, Sarah, joining us. Thank you again. So Michael, if you could just give us a quick overview, reason we're hosting today's second meeting, next steps, and then we'll turn it over to the project team. Michael?
Sure, great. Thanks, Kevin. And good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Baluch with the city's planning department. Today's meeting to review the proposed changes to the city code for the redevelopment of the Dobell Hotel site is step 5 in a 6-step process, which is required whenever any increase in floor area is proposed in the city. As Kevin mentioned, this is the second of the 2 required community outreach meetings. After this meeting, the proposed code changes will be reviewed at least one more time by the City Commission. Now, assuming the changes are adopted, then an application will be made to the Historic Preservation Board for the final review and approval of any project on the site, and this would happen at a later date. With that, I'll turn over to the project developers team for their presentation.
Thank you so much, everyone. My name is David Martin. I'm with Terra, and I just appreciate an honor to be able to walk you through the project and talk through this presentation. I'm here with Alan Schulman, amazing architect that I've known for many years, and really looking forward to the opportunity to show you this presentation. We've been working with the city, working for about a year, almost a year, just working on traffic planning and a lot of studies, design review, economic impact studies, traffic studies, utility studies, and we're really excited about the opportunity of kind of developing the Deauville property in North Beach. We really feel it's a special place, and we'd love to kind of make it better and through economic development, through green infrastructure, through a lot of great things. And so in this process, we've gone to 2 planning board meetings. We've already gone to 1 city commission meeting. We've had extensive community meetings, and I think these community meetings will continue probably throughout the life of the job. We consider ourselves stakeholders in the neighborhood, and we want to work with the community to make it better. And I think this project's just a catalyst to a lot of hopefully good things that can come about. As part of this project, we have this overlay district, and we're also working on a development agreement. In the overlay district, we're restricting our density and intensity, so we're capping how many units we could actually build on the property. Today we could build, I think, around over 900 hotel keys, give or take over 500, definitely over 500 residential units. And what we view is this project is really a low hotel key count, around 150 is kind of the target program, and then a low residential unit count, which is around 120 units. And so we're developing and replicating the original Deauville, the pedestal, and then we're reinterpreting the tower. And so Alan's going to talk a little bit about the design. I have a short presentation just to share with everyone. And then obviously I'll field any questions or comments, but I'm hopeful that you see the screen. Alan, right? You see the screen, everyone? Alan? Yes?
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Sorry, I
great.
was on mute. Yes, we see
Yeah,
it.
no problem. Thank you. So, been working a lot with community and neighbors. I know development is a very difficult subject. A lot of times there is change that occurs. We feel this property is a very important, critical piece of the puzzle. And we really wanted to bring back kind of the old and also with the new. So working with Foster and Partners and Alan Schulman, I think it's a really cool a really cool time and moment, I think, for North Beach, and really, I see a lot of great things happening. And part of this presentation, is going to talk not only about the design, but also kind of a lot of the public benefits that we're agreeing to and working with the city and the community on. And we're going to share some of those highlights. But maybe, Alan, you want to talk a little bit about the neighborhood, what our goals are, and what we're trying to achieve with the project, and I'll flip through the slides if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Alan Schulman. So just to reiterate what David just said, this is really a critical piece of the puzzle of North Beach. It was the first resort hotel in North Beach. It was the largest of its type. It fit into the street fabric. It was an urban building. It supported shops and restaurants around it. It was part of a string of resorts, and its absence is definitely felt. If you go to the next slide, David. Yeah, when I mentioned it was one of the largest resorts of its type, all of the architecture, resort and historic architecture in Miami is interesting, but just to point out what's really interesting about this type of hotel, they were the largest thematic resorts built in the world at the time in the 1950s. It was part of a group. Of course, the Fontainebleau and Eden Rock were prominent examples, but the Seville, which is now Edition, and the Carillon were also part of that. And these hotels were practically public buildings. They were huge. They had so many amenities, so many food and beverage and meeting and function spaces that they functioned in a very important way for the city of Miami Beach. Go to the next slide. And one of the things that's really important about that is that, and about this project, is that it's bringing back that mixed use character. Many things could happen here. This could be a condominium of some sort only, but this project will be a mixed use, with many amenities for the North Beach neighborhood as well. And just to maybe say a few words about our strategy and where we began and where we are. So we're the architects for the hotel, which is really the historic Deauville structure. And that includes the pedestal and tower. And our first approach was basically just to reconstruct as literal as possible the original building, which you see on the left-hand side. But in Miami Beach, preservation is also really talking with neighbors. It's also hearing the critical opinions of others who are affected by the project, by the community at large. And we've had many of those meetings. And in the process of having those meetings, the size of the tower, the fact that the tower came to the north, like it sat practically on the north and the east property lines, that really became an issue for many. And listening to that, we decided to take a bit of a different strategy to acknowledge the fact that, in fact, to be responsible to the community, we wouldn't construct that tower exactly as it was before, but we would reinterpret it. We would reinterpret it largely in the same size, scale, proportion, even elements, which I can talk to as well, but that it would also acknowledge the fact, it would be reinterpreted, it would acknowledge the fact that it's a product of 2025, and it would And it would have a dialogue with the rest of the project, including the pedestal, which is a reconstruction of the original historic pedestal, and with the condo towers, which have been carefully placed so as not to obstruct the original garden of the hotel here as well. And if we talk about, the proportion of these elements that go into the sky, right? The towers, the two residential towers plus the hotel tower, as reinterpreted, only occupy 23% of the site. Now it's a big site, but that's a really low number, and I think it reflects the fact that the site is very open. And as you go past the 200-foot mark, it is even more open. It's 12% because those towers are very thin, very limited in footprint, and very open. Go to the next. David, do you want to take it back here?
Yeah. So I think, we've been working with the community, and trying to find the right balance of, the fact that the hotel basically has a certain element, and the planning department, as well as kind of the city of Miami Beach in general, always likes to not have a big wall on a property, right? They always want to have as much sunlight here, and we have in prior presentations we presented kind of just within its context how all the buildings have a certain flow regimen. So there's a certain frontage that each building has, and so we're trying to balance the move in trying to see if we could maintain the overall goal and objective, and how we're hacking kind of the business case to the deal is because we're basically replicating on a lot of non-revenue generating space, right? When you really think about that historic pedestal, and it's significantly, it's very costly. And all we've always wanted is that basically, listen, we're going to replicate the historic building, but at the same time, we still want to try to maintain the same amount of residential square footage we could build today, right? Without this overlay, for instance. And so what we've tried to do is, because obviously we really couldn't put this as one building, we basically separated it, and we also limited ourselves to a floor plate size that is, I think, around 9,500 square feet for this building and this building. So really around 18,000 square feet of a property that's, I think, almost over 150,000 square feet. It's a very low percentage. And so, typically and traditionally, we would be able to build around the 80 foot, give or take 80 feet from the property. We're around 160 feet that we set back these two buildings, that basically are going to have one unit of floor or two units of floor. So just wanted to frame that for you. And so over time, we've been trying to find the right balance. We have obviously the Carillon to the north of us, and we want to kind of try to maintain kind of the parity with the Carillon from a height perspective, and that's kind of our goal. And so here, and Alan, you could pick it up, but here is kind of the visual where you see the kind of the separation from building to building, which kind of gives you this kind of rhythm of a narrow front rather than a long wide front. Some of the older buildings do have a long wide front, but I think the goal is trying to get sun and transparency in and out into the community and into the neighborhood. And so that's the move there. And then this is the view from the other side. And so it kind of shows just the parity with Carillon, which we like and believe in. This, and Alan, if you want to just talk a little bit more about this real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the benefits I think that this project is bringing is that not only is it reconstructing the way retail and F&B met the street in the old building, which it did, and is really unusual among hotels of this type, but it is expanding the public realm. It's expanding the sidewalk. Many of you have walked the sidewalks in this area know that it's narrow. So it's basically pulling the sidewalk space into the building and creating additional plaza, seating, landscaped areas that also have an environmental purpose, and which really, let's say, contribute to the experience of the pedestrian on the street. So it's maintaining the pedestal. At the same time, it's bringing things into the public space, into the pedestal in a new and creative way. And do you want me to continue, or David, do you want to?
Yeah, go right ahead.
One of the other benefits of the project is that we are providing beach access ways on both the north and the south side of the building. The north is a grade level passage. It's heavily landscaped. It has some spaces in which you can actually stop and rest. It probably will also have access to maybe like a counter where food and beverage or something, maybe, I don't know. But basically it's a very public walkway east-west called Deauville Walk. And so this is on the south side. And if we go to the next slide.
I don't think I have the other renderings,
okay.
which I was just mentioning to Nick of the north. I think we're missing the North Beach Walk. I think I may have it in the future presentations, but maybe I'll pick it up right here.
Yeah, please.
Alan, and obviously just showing kind of the project, and I think that and there's a lot more design. There's a whole design presentation that we did at the City Commission, and that's online. And if anyone needs attachments, we could provide them to you. We have a lot of design detail, but kind of at this phase of the project and at this workshop, I wanted to focus a little more on the public benefits and impact and improvements, and kind of just walking the community through that. And so, today we're working with the city on this still, but our initial goal was we were going to provide around 75 public parking spaces for the Deauville. That's the Deauville garage, and the community and a lot of the stakeholders and really would like us to provide more parking, and so we basically will be providing around 150 parking spaces. We're going to be opening up the garage very soon. We're about to finalize a lot of the kind of improvement that we've had to make to the garage to make it public and compliant and everything. And that's all that work's been ongoing. And so the garage is going to be open to the public this year, I would say this summer. But also, even during construction, we're going to have construction parking as well. It's available. So this garage will be open to the public. We're also working on an enhancement and kind of an improvement to the garage of the facade that I think is going to be really cool as well. Obviously, we're doing the partial reconstruction of the historic pedestal, and we're doing the partial reconstruction of the tower, the reinterpretation. We have our a whole North Beach infrastructure study and improvements. We've been working with engineering teams, kind of assessing what's happening from a stormwater perspective and water and sewer perspective, and trying to get an amazing action plan together in that front. I think has been one of the big requests in order to really develop a game plan and strategy on how to make the neighborhood more walkable, but also more safe, more resilient, and those types of things. Obviously we have a big traffic reduction that I'll show you more detail. We have the north elevated beach walk. We also have a south beach walk as well. We also are going to be contributing to the Byron Carlisle. Byron Carlisle is a big, it's a big important project for the community, for North Beach. It's a cultural arts center. I think, North Beach having an amazing cultural arts center is a big deal. And I think that just, the facilities and what that can be and mean for that neighborhood of North Beach, I think, for that block, I think would be really catalytic for other things. And so, that's something I think is important. There's a triangular pocket park we're working on that I'm going to show you guys shortly. And then we're doing a series of offsite traffic improvements. On the stormwater side, we're draining more than what we're required. So we're draining kind of and creating wells water quality wells, et cetera, for the neighborhood. And I have our civil engineers been to some of the workshops and been able to kind of talk to some of the people in the community to kind of just walk them through some of that engineering. You know, on the lower demand side of public infrastructure and services, that's a big one, which is, you know, what the density today could be built, right? Which is, you know, over 900, over 500 units, over 900 hotel keys, over 500 units, or what we actually are planning to build, which is, you know, a target program, 150 hotel keys and around 120 residential units. So we actually did this analysis based on 200 hotel keys and 140 residential units, but just wanted to show you there's a significant reduction in traffic and impact from what could be developed here. There's something happening at the Biscayne Beach Elementary School, part of our community outreach. We kind of identified this, so that's here as well. This kind of walks you through just a little bit. I don't want to bore you guys with this, but just this walks you through the parking and the parking. You know, we're going to be dedicating you know, around 300 parking spaces until we TCO the garage, and then once we TCO the garage, we're going to be dedicating around 150. So that garage will become a public benefit very shortly, which I think is going to be positive. And we're working with the city parking management of the parking authority to kind of manage the parking. We also, here's the site, and this kind of shows you the parking. One of the big deals for me is thinking about Harding. Harding is an important street. I personally think it could be the cultural street for North Beach. It actually, and sorry, the map doesn't show it. It connects to the 72nd Street parking lot right here, and hopefully that, you know, that community center and et cetera is going to, you know, get developed and do and be delivered, and we're really looking forward to having that happen. I attended a CRA meeting where that there was a presentation made for the next steps on that. This is the north elevated beach walk that's basically on this north side. This is the south beach walk that we're also providing as well for the public. Here's the plaza that Alan was talking about here and here. So we're kind of setting back the building because kind of the older you know, infrastructure was a little different. This kind of talks a little more about all the replication and all the different components that we're replicating. I don't know, Alan, if you want to grab anything specific here or.
Well, just to maybe reiterate that all the elements of the facade are being reconstructed. I mean, you have that iconic entranceway with its arched canopies. We have the screen walls that went in front of the south wing. We have the zigzagging glass peacock promenade on the back of the building. We have that beautiful oceanic walk, which was a kind of a raised terrace on the back of the building with a kind of iconic flagpole coming out of it. So basically, for the point of view of the street, the building is a reconstruction. The pedestal is a full reconstruction of the original building.
Thanks, Al. So here's that. Here's the this is the original historic location in the 60s when the Byron Carlisle was built, and there's so many stories that people and families have of that, and trying to bring it back in a reinterpreted way. You know, and I know it's a city project. This is, you know, not my doing, but we just be providing the financial contribution for the city to be able to work and be able to achieve the vision that the commission and the community wants. These are some infrastructure studies based on our research. You know, some sanitary sewer issues, and this is that whole infrastructure studies and improvements. This would all be going. And then, you know, 100%, you know, we will be paying the fines. We are been working with the city as it relates to the fines. I know the fines have been a very important topic and something that I take very seriously, and I will never expect anything other than us paying 100% of the fines as part of this, and paying it even you know, before a portion before the city the next city commission, and then, you know, the next when we hear the second reading, and then so we're working with the city on a settlement agreement for that. And I just wanted you know, everyone in the community to know those fines must be paid, and that's that. Here's the triangular park that kind of could be something interesting and cool. And we had some of the guys at Foster kind of come up with some concepts that we're thinking through. Obviously, want to do a community charrette with what they think is possible there, and really kind of creating a gateway into Harding Avenue and also North Beach, and how we can make really Harding more of a cultural street, like whether it's at Spognolo Way or just a cultural street that maybe it's a Woodruff where the sidewalks and the streets kind of like merge, et cetera. So that's, I think, an important element here. Obviously, we have the lower demand on public infrastructure and services because we could build more and we're building less. So that's kind of the whole story. And then obviously the traffic reduction from what we could build to what we're actually building is around a reduction of 62% and 66%. This was done by Kimley Horn, traffic planners and engineers that work for the county and work on big people in the industry that do this analysis for us. And so this is some of the offsite improvements. We're going to be working on the traffic signalization. We've been studying that a little bit. And working with the state, obviously, because Collins Avenue is a state road, but also working with the city to try to optimize traffic signalization. I think we've done this in other neighborhoods, and I think it could work really well. Working on an additional dedicated turn lane, obviously pedestrian crosswalk, enhancements, et cetera. So that's kind of part of that. And one of the big things is kind of the traffic flow, right? So, living here, I understand Collins Avenue. What we did is we created a very long throat here of queuing, so that really we could have a deep condition here and a deep condition here to not have any backup on Collins Avenue that would disrupt Collins. So what we basically not only put a north and south beach walk, we also put a long road on the north and a long road of the south, one's for loading that's really deep and long, and that has internal circulation and like internal kind of maneuvering, so it's not impacting the street. And then obviously we have the historic Deauville, and then we did a secondary kind of light kind of Uber drop off as well. So trying to get, even though, obviously we're not at 900 units, we're not 900 hotel keys, we're not 500 hotel keys. We're under, so we have I don't know if it's, maybe 25% of the allowable density that we're using or less. But again, even with that, we know we need to make these traffic enhancements and optionality. I think it's important also from a traffic standpoint, the fact that this garage is here. And this garage not only will be public, but it will also serve the hotel, because having predictability and having access to a public garage and to a parking is going to reduce a lot of the circulation that occurs when people are looking for parking. So we're really excited about what public parking can mean, and also when there's like hurricanes and stuff like that it can be open and used, etc. Here's kind of just the whole queuing for the parking, because we basically are parking a component of the project on the property, and then the other more of the hotel F&B is going to be parked at the garage, hopefully. This talks a little bit about our drainage system and wells and kind of and how those wells are kind of really basically serving the stormwater management system in a way of the city, and relieving that from the neighborhood. We've worked on several projects in this regard, and we're also doing a rainwater cistern. We're doing some water reuse stuff, and we're just exceeding the requirements for stormwater, because I think new development needs to exceed it, because obviously we have the built environment that exists, and so anything new should be exceeding and taking on more of that neighborhood stormwater responsibility, and that's kind of our strategy here. I think it's important that we are creating jobs, permanent jobs, around a few hundred permanent jobs, where we all are really, I think it's an important element of the project, as well as kind of what we're doing from an incremental tax revenue perspective. Obviously, we all know there's a community redevelopment agency. These are the the estimates that were done by an analyst, Kevin Crowder, that does CRA feasibility work. And these are the estimates of what this project will generate just for the CRA. There will be more funding that will go to the city, county, school board from this project, but just the CRA is basically this. And in the presentation I did in the first city commission, Nick, we had another slide that showed kind of what the county, city, and school board were also getting on top of what the CRA was. And I don't know if you could open that up, but that'd be great to kind of just share that real quick if you're able to share.
Okay, let me open it up.
Yep, thank you. This kind of gives you a little bit of a public benefit summary of kind of this long presentation I just went through. I'm sorry about that length of time, but trying to get through it throughout all the details so that we could answer any questions. This kind of shows you the lobby level of the historic, the replicated Deauville. This kind of gives you a little more of that plan that we have here for the beach walk. And so this is, these kind of is the presentation, kind of talking just about, all the public benefits we're working on, and would love to, unless, Alan, you have anything else you want to say. Nick, I know you're pulling up that spreadsheet if you can. This is kind of that east facade here, the east view that shows the Foster buildings, Alan's reinterpretation, and then obviously the pedestals here. And then here's Caroline, and here's the White Diamond, the Koya. And this kind of shows kind of the lot coverage that we discussed earlier. So I'm interested in kind of hearing any questions, unless Nick, you're able to share screen real quick, or are you able to do it? You're on mute.
I can, yes.
Okay, so you want me to stop sharing?
If you could, yes, please.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Nick. So I think here, obviously this has the CRA funds, which we already talked about, which I think are really important, right? Because basically that money can be reinvested within the boundaries of the neighborhood to make it more walkable and better, et cetera. But this, I just wanted to show you, these are annual numbers. Go to the next slide. School board, significant amount of money. And then even after the CRA expires, there's going to be a significant ad valorem going to the city and county from this project as well. So at the end of the day, obviously, Nick, you're good. I just wanted to, highlight that from the last presentation we had. But just want to thank you guys for your time. I'm ready to field questions, comments, concerns, anything, and I'm looking forward to the dialogue. And thank you so much for your time. And Kevin, thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. So as Mr. David Martin mentioned, this opportunity is going to be for everyone to go ahead and click the raise your hand feature on Zoom. If you could please go ahead and raise your hand so you could enter the queue so we could take you in the order that comes up. I'm going to ask everybody to please keep your questions or comments within 2 minutes. I'm going to have a timer on the stream. There is an open Q&A feature if you would like to type in your question. For my panelists, on the bottom of your screen, you'll see Q&A. You can see them there. So I'm going to go ahead to our first caller. I'm going to ask everybody to state their full name and their address. And I'm going to have you just keep your comments within 2 minutes. We have a few, actually a lot of people on the call today. Before we jump into this, I do want to thank, again, our elected officials that are joining us. We have Commissioner Tanya Bott. I failed to mention we have Commissioner Aide Kara, who works with Commissioner Alex Fernandez. Again, thank you to Sarah, who works with Commissioner Tanya Bott, Brandon Lloyd with Commissioner David Suarez. So thank you again for joining us. So here we go. We're going to go first person. Screen name is Anthony. If you could just state your full name for us.
Yes, my name is Anthony Stiso. And for 24 years, I've lived at the Sterling at 6767 Collins Avenue, where I currently serve as a member of the board of directors. I support this project. I've heard the presentation several times. I've seen how it's evolved over time, and I'm very excited. I truly hope that our commissioners and other city officials will also. And for the reasons that everyone has already heard, jobs, parking, flood control, I'm very impressed with, restaurants, retail, the history. And the Byron Carlisle, I think, offers a lot of benefits for the community as well. But most importantly, it wakes up North Beach. We really need this. That lot can't remain empty much longer. The local businesses are suffering, and I think homeowners and business owners in the area really deserve better. I don't think we're going to get better than this offer. So I'm truly hoping to see this happen, and we can warmly welcome our new neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. We're going to go to our next screen name is iPad Valeria Owen. If you could just state your full name for us and address. It's going to ask to unmute there. We're going to try one more time. I'm going to take one question from the Q&A feature as we are waiting for the next person to unmute. So just question/comment, who currently owns the empty parking structure? Why does this development group get to use the parking structure as a benefit they are offering the public when it didn't belong in the first place? And will this parking structure be used to house any of the valet? So I'm not sure if the team wants to answer any questions there.
Yes, of course. No, that garage was always a part of the ownership of the Deauville Hotel. It basically served as you know, for many years while the Deauville was open, served as a parking garage for the Deauville. And so that garage was never owned by the city, even though it does look like a public garage, but it was never owned by the city. And our job there, you know, we are going to be using, so the idea is there's give or take around 450 spaces in that garage. And so once the property, once the Deauville Hotel is built and completed and open, we would be using 300 of those spaces for the hotel, and the other 150 of the spaces would be open to the public, right, and run at the you know, very discounted public rates and everything else. So the city would be able to manage that. Those 150 spaces how they wanted to, but it would be open to the public. But that garage was always part of the ownership of the Deauville Hotel.
Great. We're going to go next. Screen name is Steve Selvin. Steve, if you have to unmute there, and if you could say your full name and address.
Okay. My name is Steve Selvin. I live at 6799 Collins Avenue at the Carillon. I've owned here since 2008 and have lived here full time for the past 6 years. Like most people that live here, I think our biggest concern is life. We came here to live on the beach, and my biggest concern is the fact that you insist on going higher. And once you get a variance to go higher, why doesn't every other building and development along the beach try to go higher as well? We turned down the Equinox by Stephen Ross. Looked like a great project. Also giving back a lot to the community, creating jobs, and everything else, taxes, whatever else, and we turned it down because it was going too high. As far as the parking garage, Harding is already backed up. I don't know how you're going to avoid making it worse. And we have very few, being we're such a narrow island, we always have issues with traffic backing up. As far as the historical of going back to Deauville, really doesn't mean a thing to me. And having extra access points and having garages and buses stopping on Collins, just to me means there's going to be more people coming on the beach. We've had this year where people come and it's a public beach. We're set up in front of the chairs that are set up at the Carillon. So I don't know why you couldn't do the same project and just lower the towers. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, and you know, appreciate the comment. I think just a few things just to touch on real quick. On the height of the building, completely understand. Just we did set back the building around 160 feet from the property line. So really, what we could have built closer from a shading standpoint, you would the beach. It's actually very close to the same, because it would have been let's say a shorter building and over. I have been hearing a lot of the height concerns, and I'm working on it. I want you to know that, to try to get it as low as I can, and still make this work. You know, from a traffic circulation standpoint, my goal is not to create more traffic. On Harding, the goal is to basically have public parking so people don't have to don't have to be looking for parking constantly, and kind of that sometimes is what's creating some of the traffic, but other things are as well. And understand the Deauville comment. Just think it's been part of the history of the beach, and really. But I appreciate your comments and respect everything you said, and just trying to find a perfect balance on the project. But thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go next up, Graciela, screen name, if you could just state your full name and address.
Hi, I'm really Blanca Villarello.
Oh,
How
hey,
are
Blanca.
Good. Blanca Villarello, 6484 Indian Creek Drive. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, David. Thank you, Kevin, for this time. I go back to my two main concerns, and unfortunately, we have that issue last week. One was that the bridge at 63 got some mechanical or some issues, so it was not working for I don't know how long, but obviously that created some chaos in the area. So yes, traffic, I think for a lot of us that are very local is a concern. And the other thing that is the very complicated problem, and I don't know how this can be solved, but last Thursday it rained very badly and our garage got again super flooded. We lost 6 cars. So I don't know if any of these issues can be really addressed. Thank you, David, because you have them in mind and you are working on it. But let's keep working and figuring out what really is going on over there. Thank you.
Thank you. And Graciela, I think that the 63rd Street Bridge, I think we need to, we'll figure out what's happening with the city there. And obviously we need to try to ensure, because it's such a critical bridge and such a critical intersection to North Beach. So I'm, really, we need to think through that and get that. And on the flooding side, I think part of the infrastructure study money that we want to contribute, and hopefully that the city would like to do, is to hire a team of consultants to really work on the stormwater infrastructure for North Beach. And I think that would, I think that we need to do a diagnostic assessment and then come up with a game plan for it. And I think that's the first step, but appreciate the comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to go next. Screen name is Frank Marin. If you could say your full name and address.
Yes,
Frank.
my name is
Hey there.
Francisco Marin, 6450 Collins. I have lived here since 1998. I fully support the project. I'm in favor of that. Everyone knows the benefits, but the concerns from the people, one may be the flooding, but it will be good if the designer explain the difference in area from the previous Deauville and the new one, because it's basically the same and the infiltration will be the same. I don't see any problem with the flooding. The other point would be the valid point from Commissioner Suarez about unpaid fines and stuff, but we have to let the justice work. I trust in the American justice, and I think we're gonna solve the problem. And finally, with the traffic flow, I see too many delivery cars parking on the east side of Collins, when in all buildings there are driveways. I don't know why the city don't work on that, prohibiting those cars make business on the street. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
No, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Frank. And just real quick, on the flooding side, we're going to be enhancing and improving the stormwater system for the neighborhood big time. Number 2, the fines are being paid. Fines are being paid 100%. And 3, as it relates to the traffic flow, agreed on the delivery trucks. And it's because properties did not design a internally circulated loading dock that's deep into the site. And so because we designed that in order to avoid that, but But I do agree that we need to think through how we solve it for the rest of the neighborhood, not only at this property. And I think we got to work with the city on coming up with a solution or enforcement or something like that. Sorry. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. I also want to thank again Luis Atencio from Commissioner Magazine's office, who I see is on the call. I'm going to go next to Sandra. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Yes, good evening, sir. My name is Sandra Gasola, and I live at 7451 Harding Avenue. And I've lived in North Beach with my family for over 30 years. I support the DeVille project, and I have high hopes for the project. I lived in the original DeVille with my family for 3 years, and I have very fond memories of the DeVille. And I think it's great that they're integrating components of the original DeVille with what they want to do. I think that that area has suffered quite a bit since the original DeVille vanished. The businesses have lost income, and we don't see as much foot traffic, as many people as we used to in that area. So I think the project will be beneficial for that area and for North Beach as well. And I can't wait for this to finally be approved. I'm hoping it will be approved because I don't see anything negative with the project. I have lived in North Beach for, as I said, for over 30 years. And I've already participated in several of these Zoom meetings as well as in person in City Hall. And so I really am behind this project, and I really want it to be realized. And I know it's going to revitalize the area and give it back the energy that was lost. And so I'm just hoping that this will continue its process and will finally be approved. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those comments. We're going to go next to Dana. Dana, we have iPhone 393. If you could just state your full name for us.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dania Echemendia, and I'm a homeowner at 6515 Collins Avenue, the Bel Air condominiums. And I'm here today to support this much needed development for the revitalization of North Beach. We've owned our condo for 18 years, and since the DeVille closing, we've really seen a major decline to the neighborhood. I no longer feel safe walking the street or the boardwalk at night. Many of the small businesses that once thrived in the area have shuttered or are struggling. After 18 years of living here, I, like many others, are really wondering if this project does not get approved, will I see my neighborhood flourish in my lifetime? I have read many posts on many of the social media pages, so much negativity at times. But I wonder how many of those people really live in the neighborhood and nearby to the site. At the Miami Design Preservation League community meeting with regards to the DeVille project, I attended that meeting. I had one of the directors tell me that the project was not an exact rebuild of the DeVille, and thus he was against it. His stamps seemed unreasonable and unrealistic to me. When I asked where he lives, he said Mid-Beach. Our daily living experience in North Beach does not affect him. I strongly support the efforts of the developer, David Martin, and his top-notch team of architects. I want to commend them on their efforts. I'm so impressed with what they've done. They've created a very thoughtful and beautifully designed project with architectural details reminiscent of the old DeVille. I beg all of those in the Miami Beach government to support this project and in its current proposed state. And please, let's move quickly and get this done. We want to see North Beach flourish. I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you so much. We're going to go next to screen name is Jane Krupp. Jane, if you could just state your full name and address for us.
Hi, Jane Krupp, 1390 Ocean Drive. Beautiful project. I'm a designer. I have a technical question. Even though I live in South Beach, I live near the Lowe's. And the Lowe's also has this kind of setback where cars come in, they drive in, drive up this very steep incline. And they also have shops and a FedEx office and community things in that building. So when you go there, you are basically dodging cars because there is no path for pedestrians and it's a very steep entrance. So in light of the problems at the Lowe's, in your situation, is this going to be entered on a steep incline? It's a beautiful entry, but I see north-south, cars are just interweaving, you know, without a separate residential entrance, not a residential entrance, but a pedestrian entrance where people will come on bikes and foot, because not everybody's going to approach the site by car, you know, and in terms of neighborhood integration, neighbors are not going to be driving in there either. So in your plan, can you show how cars and pedestrians are separated so people don't have to be walking through cars, which is quite dangerous? So it's just a logistical question. Is there a pedestrian entrance that you can come from the sidewalk without having to dodge a car?
David, I could answer this. Oh,
yeah, go right ahead, Alan. Go right ahead.
I'm sort of glad you asked the question because we thought a lot about these questions. I mean, we did not want in any way for the front to be a big lineup of cars and for cars and humans to come into that much contact. And I don't know if we have the plan that we can bring up, but what David showed earlier was that our two major entrances are 90 degrees from Collins Avenue straight into the building without intersecting with the public at all. So that is the service entrance of the hotel, which is on the north side, which is an enclosed area now. It's an enclosed loading dock, et cetera, and car park entrance. And on the south side, we also have an enclosed ramp that just goes down, and all of the queuing and drop off and most of that is down below. There's just a room for like 2 or 3 cars to drop somebody off on the street on the south side. And then of course, at the entrance to the classic Deauville building, we're rebuilding that. So that is a classic Miami Beach porte cochere drive-through. So there is some contact with people there, but not so much on the intensity of the hotel is very low compared to what could be built. So I don't think it's going to be a problem for the street. But we thought a lot about those intersections in terms of paving, landscaping, all of that.
And Jane, we can send you kind of a little design deck. We'll try to get your contact information to be able to just send you. We have like a landscape plan that you'll see all the pedestrian flow, because we widen the sidewalk big time, and we created a very more pedestrian focused kind of layout. And so we'll try to, Nick from my team will try to send you.
We're well connected with Jane, so we'll make sure you get that. I'm going to go next to Rick. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Good evening. Thank you. Yes, this is Rick Topshi. I'm a member of the board of directors at the Sterling. I'm also a unit owner at 6767 Collins Avenue, Unit 510. Thank you, Mayor, commissioners, aides, and David. Great presentation. I'm here tonight to support the project. Like many in the community, I was a skeptic at first. However, through all the outreach that David has done, we've engaged directly with the developers team. It's been consistent, respectful, and informative. And through that engagement, I've come to learn and understand a lot of the benefits that this project will bring to North Beach, which, it's waited far too long for a meaningful investment. This will breathe new life into the neighborhood, bringing foot traffic, vitality, and customers to our local shops, restaurants, and small businesses. With construction, there comes some temporary disruption, nuisances, but I believe that the long-term benefit that David proposes with this development is just, amazing. It's turning a vacant, unsafe lot into a world-class project. I can't think of anything negative about it. So in my opinion, this is the right time for the right project by the right developer. And I hope that everybody else supports it like I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. We're going to go next to screen name is David Cohen. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Yeah, hi, this is David Cohen. I live at 6899 Collins Avenue. I've been a full-time resident in that building, and I've been in this North Beach area in the Carillon in 6799 since the Carillon or Canyon Ranch at the time was built. I have a different approach to this amongst all the other great comments. I'm in full support. This is a win-win. In real estate, which I'm involved in, we call this the highest and best use. That is exactly what this project affords this community. Now it's a vacant lot. It's a shame to walk down a beautiful ocean boardwalk and look away from the ocean and just see an open lot that's been there for quite a while. I remember the Deauville. I remember going to Basel and other events there. And what David's doing to remake that particular atmosphere and environment, not only that, he's providing east-west corridors to get to the beach. How fair is that to the rest of the community that actually doesn't live on the beach? I mean, this is incredible. He's creating parking, jobs. He's out at all the presentations, giving, answering questions and giving all the positive attributes. You know, I live in the Carillon and they're two high buildings, but you know, the beach gets plenty of light. There's nobody that could complain that there's not enough light in front of the Carillon. Yes, the sun sets and it's natural that there's shade coming from the buildings, but what is happening here with the revitalization? And again, I'll just stress, this is the highest and best use for this property. And we should be so lucky to have a quality developer that has proved himself on Miami Beach and local to the market to give this to the community. And I'm in full support.
Thank you so much, David, for your comments. I'm going to go next to Charles Davenport. If you could state your full name and address for us. It's going to request to unmute there. Hey there.
Hi, you hear me?
Yes.
All right. My name is really Dennis Davenport. The use of this primary land is an embarrassment to us all. We have to get going. We have to do it now. This is incredible that it's taken this long to get this project going. I have a question about what happened to that boutique hotel next to you, that they built up the foundation and then they moved away, they're gone. Who's gonna use that property? And what is that impact on your property? I just cannot believe, and I built a hotel in Michigan and from ground up, and it's nothing like this. I've never seen anything like this. We need to get moving. I hope that 2030 is not the deadline for you getting done. I hope that you get going and save the neighborhood. The neighborhood is going down as we speak. It needs to be moved on quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. Just to answer the question, the Mehmet guys are good, you know, there's a great team there, and we're in constant communication and collaborating and coordinating on you know, construction coordination and logistics. So, but yes, we're definitely in communication with both the north and the southern property owners, the Sussman family as well as the Mehmet group.
Thank you so much. We're going to go next. Screen name is Alex. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Alex Jimenez, 13 Ferry Lane, Miami Beach. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Yep. Good evening. My name is Alex Jimenez, and I've been proud to call Miami Beach home for over 10 years. I moved here because this city has a unique charm, a strong sense of community, and a way of life that feels balanced and welcoming. And I believe that's something worth protecting. Our zoning laws weren't created by chance. They were thoughtfully designed to preserve the character of our neighborhoods. The 200-foot height limit on this site is a good example. It reflects a clear choice made by the community to avoid more out-of-place, oversized towers. When the blue and green diamond buildings were approved, there were no height restrictions at that time. That's exactly why new limits were added in the late 90s. Those buildings and others nearby shouldn't be used now as an excuse to push for even more height. And we can't forget, just 2 years ago, voters rejected a proposal for this same site. And that plan was 166,000 square feet smaller than what's being proposed now. The public made their voice heard then, and that hasn't changed. What's even more concerning is that this proposal doesn't even bring much in the way of direct benefits to the people who actually live here. The big promise is future tax revenue, which is certainly important, but we don't need to build something taller or grant additional FAR to make that happen. A more modest project would still bring meaningful value to the North Beach CRA. At the same time, our city is under serious financial pressure. Just last month, our CFO told us we need about $70 million a year to address urgent infrastructure needs. Pipes are literally breaking underground. And now the commission is talking about whether residents should be the ones to pay for those repairs. As for the theory this could become live local, that would require 40% of the units to be affordable. And let's be honest, that's not going to happen on the waterfront. And even if it did, this law would cap the height at 235 feet. We should focus on what really matters, protecting the feel of our neighborhoods, investing in the city our city actually needs, and making sure Miami Beach remains the place we fell in love with. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. I'm going to go next to iPad. Screen name is iPad number 3, Jason Walker. You could state your full name for us and address.
My name is Jason Walker, and I live at 6767 Collins Avenue. I've lived there since 1993. I live on the south side of Collins, and so I know the DeVille property well because I still have dirt on my face from what it being imploded. But David, this is to David Martin. Your mention of the Mehmet, only because it was brought up just a moment ago, to me is incredulous. The idea that you're going to build this beautiful property that everyone's in favor of, and I'm in favor of it too, but no one's talking about how we're going to squeeze the Mehmet in between the Sterling and the DeVille, and what congestion that will bring, and what problems that may bring in terms of noise for people living on the south side of the Sterling will experience. It's just, to me, we need to, this is really directed to the mayor and the public servants that are listening. As we go forward, I don't think you can take the DeVille and the Mehmet and then squeeze them in to such a limited space and create a better living environment for people in the Sterling. So I hope there's further discussion about the problems that congestion will bring.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go next. We have screen name is Cohen's iPhone. If you could just state your full name and address for us. Cohen's iPhone, it's going to ask you to unmute, so just go ahead and accept that. We're going to go next. Cohen, we'll come back to you. We have Renee De Peters, jewelry
Hi,
store.
I'm unmuted.
Hi, there you are. Okay.
Hi, thank you.
We'll go back
Hi,
to you.
this is
If you could just
Susan.
say your
Thank
full
you so
name for
much.
us.
Sure. Hi, this is Susan Cohen. I reside at, it was Canyon Ranch and now the Carillon. I've been here since 2007. I am 1,000% for this project. I have said this all along. This site cannot stay vacant. I have watched our neighborhood deteriorate, and we desperately need this project to revitalize the area of North Beach. I can reiterate all the comments that were said on the positive side. Some of the comments said on the negative side, I feel like are scripted. You guys need to fact check where these people live. But if you walk around my neighborhood, it has deteriorated. This project needs to happen and needs to happen now. So please, David, I beg of you, please make this project happen. The money that's going to come into our CRA from this is going to completely revitalize and change our neighborhood. So please, I beg of you, please make this project happen.
Thank you for your
comment.
comment.
That is certainly not your problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. We are going back to Renee. Going to request to unmute there. If you could state your full name and address for us.
My name is Davide Bromelli, Rene Di Paris, Jewelry Store, 6608 Collins Avenue. Yes, we have been in the same location with the same owner since 1960, when my partner came from Cuba. And we remember when the DeVille was there, it was a bustling neighborhood. Since the DeVille has not been there, the neighborhood has become dilapidated. And once you start with this urban decay, it just gets worse. So I and the 6 businesses that are right across from the Deauville project, we fully support this. And we're very thankful that David Martin is stepping up to the plate and putting forth the money and the time to make the neighborhood better. Now, anyone against this project, I mean, they could always put up their money and build their own project, 20 stories. And that way they'll have views and everything they want. But in the meantime, there's a highest and best use. All the buildings adjacent to that are only 20 stories. So it's not like they're blocking any view. And sooner or later, it will be developed. So I want us to go forward. There's going to be growing pains for everyone. There's going to be traffic, but for the highest and best use of the community, we need to weather the pains and improve the neighborhood. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go next to Lisa Napolitano. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Lisa, if you could say your full name and address for us.
Yes, Lisa Napolitano, 226 Ocean Drive. Good evening. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, David, for that presentation. I am a resident and homeowner of Miami Beach for 21 years. And although I live in Sophie, I'm weighing in here because I'm concerned about the potential for overdevelopment. And I believe that overdevelopment in North Beach is not a private affair. It has negative ramifications for our entire island, including my neighborhood. And my primary objections to the project are twofold. And by the way, these are the same objections that were expressed by members of our current commission and the planning board in 2022 in response to the last proposal for the site, namely exceeding the height limits permitted by zoning and the density limits. I'm concerned that approval will open the floodgate to other 400-foot tall buildings that jeopardize our city's character and the scale. And I'm mindful that Sunny Isles happened one building at a time. And I'm also concerned about a dangerous precedent of rewarding neglect by property owners with upzoning. So I guess my question for David, and he's answered in part, why is it not possible to design a beautiful project such as the one you have, but cap it so that it stays within the zoning laws?
Right.
And I think, that would alleviate my concerns and a lot of people's concerns. So I'll let you respond to that.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments. I think the main issue that I see is this property today can probably be built as a residential building, right? Just a condo building. That probably with the current zoning parameters, that's what would happen here. Today you could build 500 units, right? You talked about density, Lisa. This project is going to be around 25% of the allowable density that's currently allowed to be able to be built on the property. And so the idea was we felt, and I thought we feel the community as well feels that that North Beach needs hotels. I mean, Mid Beach, South Beach has a lot of hospitality and entertainment and experiences, but North Beach needs hospitality and entertainment experiences. And with the history of the Deauville and what it meant for the neighborhood and for the collection of historic preservation and kind of bringing it back to and having Alan Schulman bring that back to the community, we felt that that this was a better move for the neighborhood to have not 1,000 units, not 500 keys that used to be here, but just have around less than 200, probably going to be around 150 keys. So our project is 150 keys and 120 residential units. That's our target program. We're allowed today with the lower height, 100%, we're allowed to do over 900 units and over 5 hotel keys and over 500 residential units. So that we're basically a very low impact building from a traffic infrastructure perspective of what we could do today. And so the height condition has to do a lot with the Deauville, right? And the replication of Deauville and how to plan it correctly in order to still be able to have the residential project and residential FAR in order to be able to pay for the replication of the hotel. But the hotel is an important economic engine for the neighborhood. North Beach needs more hospitality experiences, and we feel that this really did it and was low density, so that it had the least possible impact to the community. But I've heard you loud and clear on the height issue. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for the response. I have next Elizabeth Latone. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Hi, Elizabeth Latone, 6515 Collins. My only comment is I would like to know what, if any, plans for the use of the property before it's developed, if it would be possible, since our code requires it, that all of these properties, including the Sussman's property and the Manette property, to be turned into green space while you're awaiting permits. That's all. Thank you.
Yep. So we are doing that. Nick Hepner, you're all over that, and we were trying to get that done as soon as possible. So when do you think we'll have the entire green landscaped property that you've been working on?
Well, we're in the process of engaging the contractor, and we feel confident that they'll start work by next week, actually.
Okay, and how long is that going to take?
That should take approximately 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Since we're at 15 minutes, we do have a hard stop at 8. Please ensure your hand is up. We're going to go ahead and lower your comment period to about 1 minute. If you could just try to squeeze your comments into 1 minute, and of course, if you need a little bit of extra time, we'll try to work with you. Next person is Alfred. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Yes, Alfred Fiala, Unit 1903, Sterling. I am a land use and redevelopment attorney for over 50 years. Been involved with, I say modestly, many billions of dollars with development. I also build and develop. We've spent time with David. I've looked at this development, comparing it to many of the others I've looked at. It's a well-integrated planned project. He's used his planners and maybe some of the city comments, his architect, his engineer, and his vision, if you will, to really create something I rarely see with some of the people I represent. And I've represented them from Asbury Park with 3,000 units to Prudential. As relate to the tower's heights, I'm just going to make a comment. It's a trade-off. He's got 2 buildings, narrower footprints, light comes through them. It's better than a shorter squat building meeting the current height. I've seen projects now for almost 50 years, been involved in many shadow studies, etc. I think this is a commendable project. We fully support it, at least I do.
Oh, thank you, Alfred. Thanks for just cutting off right there. I appreciated that. Next up, I'm going to go to Professor Vladimir. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Yes, I believe that you can hear me.
Yep.
Yeah. My name is Vladimir Yuskov. I'm the unit owner in the Sterling Condominium Association, 6767 Collins Avenue, next to DeVille property. My wife and I retired professors after 40 plus years as university professors. And although we had the chance to move to numerous cities in the world, our final choice was this very charming city. Sorry, again, we're given only 1 minute, but very quickly, this project has our full and strong support. I didn't know Mr. Martin. However, I attended his presentation. He clearly proved that he is a man of great vision. Number one, he is creating a new landmark for North Miami Beach. And it will create a new standard for Miami Beach, Florida, and its residents. Number two, so the quality of life and the environment will be much higher. And this project, I'm positive, will serve as a catalyst in modernization of local businesses. And finally, I would like to say that, again, this project has our support, and I encourage actually the officials to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We're going to go next to our next person with their hand up. If you could just say your full name and address for us. It's going to request to unmute there. As you get that sorted, there you go. Looks like you
Hello.
unmuted. Hi there.
Hey, how are you? Wanda Jamin, 8305 Crespi Boulevard, North Beach. I'm calling in to totally oppose this development for many factors. First of all, the city should have never put this project in the agenda until every penny owed was paid. It seems that the owners made a condition with the city that will pay you if you put it in the agenda for a vote. However, we were notified by our mayor that they brought this to settlement, and $6 million is now turning into $15,000. This is how much they want to pay in fines and fees. If the owners have good faith in developing North Beach, this debt should have been paid years ago. Settlements should not be discussed, as Mr. Martin just mentioned, as we speak, before this second vote, second reading. Settlements are done prior to even asking for a project to proceed. Secondly, we as electors voted to have height and density restrictions. Our voices must be heard. We are recorded with the Miami-Dade Elections Department. We voted on increases on height and densities. That is totally and unethically disrespectful for not so much of the developer. I mean, it looks like a beautiful job. That's his job. He's a businessman. I am a construction estimator. He has to sell the job. Our city officials have not done the right thing by us.
Thank you, Wanda. I did give you a full 2 minutes, even though we brought it down. I heard somebody call my name.
Yeah, I wanted to just respond to Wanda that under no circumstance will 1 penny less than the total fine be paid. We just had to work through just a dismissal of an appeal and work through the agreement. But the agreement and the settlement is not a settlement of a penny. Every single penny of the fine will be paid to the city that is owed. And I also just want to mention, understand the height issue, Wanda, but we are restricting our density much lower than what's currently allowed. Just wanted to make those 2 comments, but thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to Jeanette Silverman. If you could just try to keep your comments within just 1 minute.
Hi, Janet Silverman, 6899 Collins, with the Carillon. And I just want to say that I completely support this project, as does the entire board of the North Tower of the Carillon. We think it's really important that this project get developed. I just want to ask David if you could you just go over the 3 entrances and what they're going to do again? Because one of the comments I've heard from some residents around the Carillon is concern of traffic backing up onto Collins Avenue, not during construction, but just over time after the project is built. And if you could just tell me so that I can explain to people how that's going to be mitigated, I would appreciate it.
Yep, no problem. And I wish I had the presentation up, but basically we have the North and South Beach Walk. And on the North Beach Walk, we have basically a deep road that kind of grabs all the loading to be internally circulated in the property. So basically we have a road that basically cars can turn in, all loading cars turn in on the north side. On the south side is basically the residential queuing into its parking. So we created another road on the south side that goes into the parking that's under the property and under kind of the green space and everything else. So we basically have created 2 lanes inside. Most of the developments, when you look at the developments on the site, they basically have a porte cochere and a opening into the garage right next to that drop off. So what happens is, and then the loading is tightened up on top of it. We're somewhat lucky because we have around 500 feet and we have of width. So we're able to, along the corner, create a road that basically gets all the cars in there. One. The second point on that is our density is so much lower than what we can build, right? So we can build so, which, you know, we're not doing it, and we want to build, we would like to build this if possible, but basically we're restricting our density. So if we would have built more units, we would have had more traffic. We're building less units, but we're also creating public parking that's going to be done on 67th Street, so that any of that a lot of times what happens with the queuing on valets, and I see it living in Miami Beach, like we all do, we see that the length of time of valet traffic and in and out, it also creates queuing for hotels, for you know big hotels, 300 keys, 500 key hotels. In this case, we basically have a 150 key hotel, which is going to be a lower volume, but we have a proximate garage. So the valet in and out and the sequencing is going to be much more efficient for those drop-offs. So from a mitigating factor, I think operationally, we've done it with the hotel and the parking. And then from a loading and from a residential parking, we've created these long roads on the north and south of the property to get all the cars out of all the cars out of the street and never have this a queuing potential.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go to the next caller. We have, Stephanie, if you could state your full name and address for us. Stephanie, it's going to ask you to unmute there.
Oh, hi, Stephanie Hammerman, 6799 Collins. That's one of the Carillon buildings. I just wanted some broad comments. I understand that this is the Deauville that we're speaking about. Could you just give us a brief update about what is going on with Mimette? I know you're in conversation with them, because that seems to be a piece that we really don't know about at all, and it can affect the overall aspect of everything.
Yeah. No, Stephanie, you know, the Mimette property, just so you know, has currently a design review board approval on the property for a hotel, and we have a very good relationship with them, and you know, they have their own plans and ideas and objectives, and you know, I'm supporting them in moving forward with their goals and objectives, but I don't own or have any controlling interest in that property. But we did keep them in mind when we were designing, because we basically, the original Deauville was right on the property line, and we set back the building around 30 feet from the property line to be able to kind of, and that was kind of that slide that we had that was carving the building and why we're reinterpreting the tower. We had to set back the building from them in order to give them space and views, etc. But again, I don't own it, but I can definitely put you in touch with them, Stephanie. And if we could work with Kevin, I'm trying to coordinate that. We'll definitely do that.
Thank you so much, Miss Lisanne Wagner. I'm sorry, I apologize for mispronouncing it. If you could say your full name and address for us.
Hi, my name is Lizzie Bordenero. I reside at the Sterling, 6767 Collins Avenue. I have lived in this neighborhood for about 18 years. And I remember in the past, as many other people were mentioning, that we had voted no 2 years ago, I think, against the height and the setback to be changed. So I think the right balance to build this new development is to build within the zones that are already in place. There's no need for a setback change or to build such a tall towers, in my opinion. I mean, let's not open the floodgates on a scale. Our island is getting way too crowded. And let's not even think about whenever we have 2 hours of rain with the traffic. So this project, I believe, can be just as beautiful and unique with the zoning laws that we already have in place. So I wish I could say I'd support this project, but unfortunately, as of it is, I don't. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. We're going to go next. Screening is Seraldo. If you could state your full name and address for us. Oops. There we go.
Yes, Daniel Seraldo. I'm going to try to do 1 minute, but might be slightly over. Good evening, everyone. Daniel Seraldo, candidate for Miami Beach Commission Group 1, 730 10th Street, Miami Beach. There are certainly commendable aspects of the project, and I deeply understand the frustration expressed by the adjacent neighbors regarding the property's ongoing dilapidation under its current ownership. This neglect has had a tangible negative impact on both the local economy and public safety. Their voices have been consistently and passionately heard at each of these hearings. Their sense of urgency is clear and warranted. As far as a historic reinterpretation concept, I believe that has been really well done. Kudos to the team and Alan Schulman. That appears to have support of the community. But the height remains the issue, in my opinion. What happens here can truly impact the neighborhood as well as the overall city, especially in the post-Champlain Towers era. I have a real concern about precedent, in particular in light of recent news out of Tallahassee. There's a bill, HB 943, that could force taller buildings without public hearings on our barrier islands, possibly leading to 50-story tower at the Clevelander on Ocean Drive, and taking the height of other buildings as the new maximum for the rest of the community. We're being attacked of our rights, and so we have to be very careful how we respond as a city. There's also growing questions about the unsafe structures bill that passed in Tallahassee and its legality. There's talk about a legal challenge to get the law struck down as arbitrary and punitive. And I'm wrapping up. Before that law was passed, a requirement in our city code after such demolition by neglect is that the owner must replicate the building. And in that case, the height is 200 feet. So therefore, given all this uncertainty, it's important to take this all into account before deciding on allowing a 380-foot tall building. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. We gave you an extra minute there just to get your comments in. I'm going next to Commissioner Tanya Bott.
Hi, I'm not going to weigh in on this. I have already made my views very clear on the dais and in a newsletter. If anybody did not receive the newsletter and would like to see my thoughts, you can reach out to me at Tanya, Tanya, at miamibeachfl.gov. What I did want to weigh in on is that the Mimette has abandoned their building permit as of last summer. So whatever they had planned is now being reconsidered. And we don't know what they have planned because what they had gotten approved through DRB and the building permit that was approved is now abandoned, which means that they either couldn't find the funding for what they wanted to do and had to abandon, or they're reconsidering what they want to do and are going to go through the process again. So I wanted to share that information. Again, if anybody wants some further thought about my views on the Deauville, I'm happy to share the email that I sent out a couple of weeks ago. Again, Tanya, Tanya, at miamibeachfl.gov.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up, Omar Jimenez. I'm going to ask you to keep your comments within 1 minute. Omar, are you there? Hold on, Omar. We're going to send you a request to unmute. All right, Omar. There you go.
Hey, Omar here, president of the Parkview Island Sustainable Association. And as a member of the North Beach Community Redevelopment Agency's Advisory Board Committee and founder of the Parkview Island Sustainable Association, I've gone to several of these meetings and presentations for this project in the past number of months. The developer has really presented a great project for the North Beach community that addresses many of the community's needs. As a North Beach resident and property owner, and as a strong advocate for the environment and a more resilient North Beach, I've spent many years advocating for upgraded storm and sanitary infrastructure in our community and for improved quality in our waterways. It is very reassuring to hear the developer will be addressing storm infrastructure and going beyond what is required to even extending some of these benefits to the infrastructure issues at Biscayne Beach Elementary and some of the necessary upgrades in the Parkview Island Canal, hopefully. I'm in full support of this project and hope the City Commission will work through any potential questions or concerns to support and approve this game-changing project for the North Beach community. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. We appreciate your comments. Next up, Tom McLaughlin. I've been mispronouncing names all night. I apologize. Tom, if you could say your name and address for us.
Yeah, Kevin, Tom McClone, 736 13th Street. And although this project looks wonderful, I don't think that there should be kudos for replicating the Deauville, which was basically neglected and caused demolition. And as a result of that, I think that the project that's being pushed at this point is a project that's going to maximize profit with the higher height. And I don't think that that's appropriate. I think it should be really geared toward the community, not so much in terms of what the profit motive is of the owner, who shouldn't get kudos, who shouldn't be rewarded for neglecting the building as it was. In addition to that, they're talking about increased height on Washington Avenue and South Beach. And I think that this is just the start of what they're trying to do in terms of building higher. Lastly, there's empty retail all over the beach. The last thing we need is more empty retail in the base of this kind of a building. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go next to screen name is Richard. If you could state your full name and address for us.
Hi
Richard,
there,
can you hear
Kevin.
us?
Thank you for
Hey
taking,
there.
yes, thank you, Kevin, for taking my call. I appreciate. I only have a minute. I had a lot to say, but I will really go fast. So first of all, I want to say that the Deauville project is not just another building. It's really about recreating a community that can thrive again, like the iconic Deauville of the past. This development, I believe, truly embodies progress, sustainability, innovation, all the while honoring the unique character of Miami Beach. I strongly support the Deauville project. The developers investing not just in brick and mortar, rather, Mr. Martin's project truly strikes a balance between heartfelt thinking and community-oriented. I think we need to all come together and please let's turn this vision into a reality. I do have one question for Mr. Martin. How long do you think this thing can come alive?
I would say hopefully if we're able to get the overlay completed, we'd be going to Historic Preservation Board later this year. And then probably around a year to finalize design and engineering, a year to get building permits. So I would say 2 years to start construction, and then probably around 2.5 years, 30 months, 32 months to complete. So we try to do it in 4.5 years to try to deliver and complete and open the hotel. So 4.5 years is kind of going to be, our target time frame, but it could take a little longer. But I would say 4.5 years is doable, assuming we're fortunate and honored that the community and the city would want us to move forward with this.
Thank you. We're going to go to Christina Sosa. It's going to ask to unmute. There you go.
Hi, Christina Sosa, 6799 Collins Avenue, resident at the Carillon, and also a resident in North Beach for over 20 years. I'm here to say I support the new plan for the DeVille site. I walk by the site 4 times a day, in the morning and in my morning walk, and in the evening when the sun sets. And I'm really looking forward to this site being developed. The revitalization of this site is urgently needed for our community to flourish. I appreciate the thoughtful consideration that David and his team has put with the low density. Low density is vital for our community. Many people have had concerns about the impacts of traffic. The low density is key here for this site. We don't want over 900 units plus on this site. This thoughtful approach of development allows sunlight and ocean breeze to filter through our community. We need that. We don't want a long, wide building blocking flow, blocking light. And we're really excited about having this new property and David behind it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go next to Tom Richardson. Tom, if you could state your full name and address for us.
Sure, Tom Richardson, 6450 Collins Avenue. I am fully in support of this project. I live across the street, although the project will partially block some of my view to the north. It more than makes up for it in the benefits that it provides, like the gentleman said earlier, to reviving and creating a community in this neighborhood. I'm a little bit surprised by some of the comments I heard in the negative. People say we voted on this project, vote on a project, but it wasn't this project. Some of the criticism of the past vote was that it didn't honor our Art Deco history. This project does do that. The other thing that the people keep confusing is density and saying there's going to be traffic. This has many less units. It's about the best thing that we could hope for, to have less traffic. Sure, the units are bigger, but there'll be less people, less cars, less trips, less delivery, less of everything. Less for this neighborhood, sense of the bad things, and many, many more of the good things, which is vibrancy, economic recovery, and a real place that can center all of North Beach. I'm in favor of it. I hope it moves quickly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Michael Belush, I'm going to ask you if you could just give us an overview right after this caller. We're going to go to Iris Fernandez just for next steps. So first we're going to go Iris, if you have 1 minute.
Yes, hi. I am very familiar with the DeVille. My family and I have been a part of the DeVille for 43 years. I am now 58. Since I was very young, we owned an apartment there. I still had ownership of the apartment when fire went out. And I was pretty much unable to access my things, but that's a long story. The reason for my comment is basically, I love what you guys have developed. However, I'm very unhappy with the actual height of the structures, because it does affect the sand and laying on the beach and enjoying everything that we enjoy in the area. So my concern is also about emergency vehicles, access to the building, accessibility to the units. I've been involved where people have been living in adjacent units, and there have been harm to females, and I've had to call 911 and that kind of thing because of abuse. So I'm just really concerned about the height, and I think we really don't need to go that high. And I really appreciate what you're trying to do with the structure. I love the place. I can't wait to go back, but I think it doesn't help. The citizens are not going to be able to probably afford to live in a place like that, as I once did. So I would like to see something that's really more affordable for all of us. And yes, it will definitely bring back the community. And I'm looking forward to the future in this particular segment of Miami Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fernandez. And with that, I'm going to /overview of next steps, and then we'll turn it over David Martin for final thoughts. Michael?
Sure, thanks, Kevin. So there'll be another opportunity for the public to speak on this application at the April 23rd City Commission meeting, where the City Commission will review this along with the development agreement. And my understanding at this time is that they both will be continued for a second reading to the May 21st, 2025 meeting. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, everyone. This was really just an honor to be doing this in the community and working with you guys on trying to make North Beach better. And I think it's going to be, I'm really excited about the interest. And anyone on the negative side, I'm really open to meeting. I would love to kind of work through any challenges or concerns, but I'm really happy and excited for all the positivity from this meeting and everyone and everybody's support. I think it's really, I see the community uniting. I see the community coming together, and I'm just very thankful for everyone's time. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you guys soon again.